Good evening and welcome to the World Now at 4. I am Ainan Lubem. First, let's talk the headlines. On the headlines, court voids IGP's conviction. Explosions rock central Kyiv. And on sports, Anten Kukbo leads Buck to win over Warriors. And now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has said the youth are its promise for a better future and solving their problem is the priority of the government. Speaking in Washington, D.C., while welcoming the Secretary General of the Abu Dhabi Forum, Sheikh Al-Maftoh bin Bayya, and his deputy, Pastor Bob Roberts of the U.S., who paid him a visit. Buhari said the work of the foundation is promoting multi-faith dialogue was as important to the world as it is to Nigeria. He spoke about the need to raise generations of youth devoid of religious extremism and bigotry, urging the group to continue to target the young people who are the promise of the future. The Foundation Secretary General said they had come to invite the President to attend the conferment about him, the Abu Dhabi Foundation's award in recognition of its outstanding achievement in promoting peace and security. They said the conferment was in line with the Foundation's work in fighting religious extremism and promoting peaceful coexistence and dialogue amongst all religions. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presided over the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House in Abuja today. This week's first meeting, which began with at least 7 ministers physically present and others following from their various offices in the nation's capital. Minister of State for Employment, Labour, Festus Keyamo, and his power counterpart, Abubakar Aliyu, conducted the opening Christian and Muslim prayers respectively. President Muhammadu Buhari is not attending the meeting as he is away in Washington, D.C., USA for the United States Africa Leaders Summit. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, that is NAFDAC, has announced the arrest of importers and distributors of fake food products following a raid on a warehouse in Abankpon area of Lagos Island in Lagos State and Boundary Street in Aba, Abia State. Acting Director General of NAFDAC, Monica Nmunjeze, made the announcement during a media briefing at the agency's Central Laboratory Complex Auditorium in Oshodi in Lagos State.
Those that are using these banned products in making our products, they will face the full extent of the law. We have lab tests that we can carry out to see whether bromate is in the mixture or not. We have regulatory processes in place. We encourage people to do the needful and make sure you subject yourself to the necessary regulatory processes.
Arrested suspects, however, deny knowing they were fake products.
For baking material, I've been in business for 6 years now. So it's someone that gave me the market. So I don't know that the thing is very dangerous like this. So that's why I said the product.
I saw it and bought it like that and somebody sent it from Dubai. And it was sent like this. And it was bought through the group page. Then when the goods comes, different goods, cosmetic, you took your own and pay that's how it happened. Then unfortunately, they say somebody has the same NAFDAC number.
Welcome back. The Federal High Court in Abuja has vacated its November 29, 2022 order committing the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to prison for contempt. Justice Bolaji Olajuwon, in a ruling today, held that there was evidence before the court that the IGP has substantially complied with the court's earlier order directing the reinstatement of an officer, Patrick Okoli, who was compulsorily retired. Justice Olajuwon held that in view of the development, the application by the IGP seeking the vacation of the committal order is worthy of sympathetic consideration. The judge had in November 29 ruling convicted the IGP and sentenced him to a 3-month jail term for failing to obey the October 21, 2011 judgment of the Federal High Court reinstating Okoli. Okoli was compulsorily retired in 1992 while serving in the Bauchi State Command as Chief Superintendent of Police by the Police Council, now Police Service Commission, which claimed to have acted under Decree 17 of 1984, a decision the court voided in the October 2011 judgment. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Ghana's President Nana Akufo has said that African countries must wean themselves off begging the West to end global respect and change poor perceptions about the continent. He made remarks
in this spectacular building, so admired by all Ghanaians, and indeed by all Africans, as it was designed by one of the foremost architects of his generation, the globally David Adjaye.
Akufo-Addo made the remarks during the opening of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. He also urged greater solidarity among Africans to address shared aspirations.
Then we find ourselves outside the continent, and we discovered that to the outside world, there are no Ghanaians, there are no Senegalese, and there are no Tanzanians. There are only Africans, and we are all simply Africans. The lesson for me is clear. Our destinies are intricately linked with each other, and we're talking not only about those of us on the continent, but about the Africans in the diaspora as well.
The president said that this continent had skills and manpower, but needed concerted political will to make Africa work. Dozens of African leaders are in Washington to discuss cooperation with the U.S. amid growing Chinese and Russian influence on the continent. Over 55 people have been killed and dozens injured on Tuesday by widespread floods and landslide caused by heavy rains in Congo's capital, Kinshasa. 24 neighborhoods were affected according to local officials, and some 12 million people live in Congolese City, many of whom now grieve loved ones. In addition to the submerging houses, the torrential rains ruined many roads, according to report, and a landslide in the southern Mont Ngafula district cut off a key supply route linking the capital with the Atlantic Ocean port of Matadi. Prime Minister Jean Michel Sama-Lukonde said officials were still searching for more bodies. President Felix Tshisekedi, who's attending the USA-Africa Summit in Washington, sent his deepest condolences to the bereaved families. We move to other parts of the world after this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Lawmakers of the United States Senate have introduced a bill to ban the use of popular social media platform TikTok in the country. One of the bill's sponsors, Republican Senator Marco Rubio of the Senate Intelligence Committee, stated that the app was not just about creating videos, but it served as a major tool in the hands of the Chinese government to obtain sensitive data from Americans. However, the bill mentions TikTok and its parent company, as well as other subsidiaries of the company, as social media platforms of particular concern. The new bill follows a flurry of actions already taking place by Republican-led states, including Texas, South Dakota, and Maryland, who have all moved to restrict the use of TikTok on government-owned devices. Similarly, the U.S. military, the State Department, and the Department of Homeland Security have all restricted the app from operating on their computer devices. Shortly before the end of his tenure, former President Donald Trump issued an executive order to ban the app unless it was sold to an American company. The order was challenged in court and was later overturned by incumbent Biden administration. Ukrainian officials said they shot down over a dozen drones during a Russian attack at the capital city of Kyiv early today. The explosions rocked the central Shikonovsky district as air defenses shot down what were meant to be Iranian-made Shahed drones. Russia has repeatedly targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructure since October with missiles and drones. Kyiv Governor Olysky Kuleba has announced Russia has accused Russia of continuing its energy terror against the country with the latest wave of drone attacks. President Volodymyr Zelensky reacted by saying Ukrainian forces have shot down 13 Shahed drones, which he said amounted to all of those launched by Russia on Wednesday. Ukraine has accused Iran of supplying Russia with kamikaze drones using deadly attacks on October 17, which Tehran initially denied. Jailed Georgian ex-president Mikhail Saakashvili has vowed to go on hunger strike again after a court hearing into his jail term was postponed. Saakashvili has been in a Georgian jail for more than a year, convicted of abuse of power while in office. He has not been seen in public since April and has reportedly suffered significant weight loss and is unable to move without assistance. Today's hearing was cancelled because no video link was set up. The court in Tbilisi has been due to consider whether to suspend his sentence or release him on humanitarian grounds for medical treatment abroad. Saakashvili's lawyer said the government was afraid to reveal the real state he was now in. He hopes the international community will press Georgia to release him. He has already staged 2 hunger strikes against his imprisonment. He was transferred to the private Vivimedi clinic in Tbilisi in May 2022 and has been confined to a room there. We now move to business news after this break. Stay with us. On business news, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari is in Washington, D.C. and has sought the United States support to achieve Nigeria's energy transition plan, which he said requires at least 10 billion naira per year to finance. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, disclosed this in a statement signed last Tuesday while in the USA. President Buhari restated energy transmission target of 30 gigawatts by 2030. This was as he argued that Nigeria became the first African country to develop a detailed energy transition plan to tackle both energy poverty and climate change. He also reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to generating 30 gigawatts of energy by 2030. The president stressed that the Nigerian government has embarked on several reforms, one of the best in Africa, on mini-grid regulations, as well as the integration of renewable energy into the national grid. Buhari also called on the U.S. businessmen and the global community to tap into the innovation and potential returns in Nigeria's enormous market, which is yet to be fully optimized. The United Kingdom government has noted that the cost of going out drinking has increased ahead of Christmas, with wine, gin and whiskey prices rising. Beverage prices rose across the board in November at pubs, restaurants and cafes, with Beta and Liga also up. The cost of a night out was now increasing at its fastest rate since December 1991, according to the latest official figures. It came on as overall inflation, the rate at which prices rise, is slightly but remained near a 40-year high. Prices rose by 10.7% in the year to November, compared with 11.1% in October, leading some analysts to predict that soaring inflation may have peaked. Inflation is a measure of the cost of living, and to calculate it, the Office for National Statistics, that is the ONS, keeps track of the prices of hundreds of everyday items known as basket of goods. Lower inflation does not mean the prices of goods will go down, just that they will stop rising as quickly. Still to come is sports news. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to Sport News and World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. Nigeria's national men's hockey team has qualified to the inaugural International Hockey Federation FIH Hockey Fives World Cup in Oman 2024, despite a 8-6 narrow loss to host Egypt in the fourth game of the African qualifiers, which began on Sunday. The team had earlier on Tuesday played out a 4-4 draw against South Africans Zambia in the morning game, with the results giving them the edge over group opponents as they placed second behind Egypt. Nigeria will once again square up against the Egyptians in the final match on Thursday, as they will observe their rest today after 2 days of grueling involvement in the game of hockey. Meanwhile, Nigeria's John Peter currently leads the scorers chart with 11 goals ahead of Egypt's El Ghanaini Ahmed, who has 9, and another Nigerian, Solomon Dennis, who clinched 7 goals so far. And away from that, hundreds of Moroccan football fans have been left devastated as last-minute flight cancellations look set to stop them from traveling to Qatar for today's World Cup semi-final game against France. Morocco's national airliner had planned to run 7 additional flights ahead of the game. It's made the decision after Morocco's FA promised to give fans 13,000 free tickets to the clash with France. It's further stated today that the Qatari officials had blocked the flight. In a post on its social media channels on Monday, the airline had offered to lay on 30 additional flights as part of an exceptional flight schedule to help fans get to Qatar. The cancellations left a number of fans who had already booked tickets and hotel rooms out of pocket. The airline offered a full apology and said it would reimburse passengers. Meanwhile, Morocco will take on France in their first ever semi-final clash tonight in the World Cup. Still talking sports on international scene, Milwaukee Bucks guard Giannis Antetokounmpo has scored 30 points as the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Golden Champions. The Warriors beat the league leading Boston Celtics on Tuesday, but this was the 12th loss in 14 away games. Coach Steve Kerr earned a technical foul for his furious reaction after Stephen Curry appeared to be caught on the head as he made a 3-point shot. The Warriors were 14 points down early in the second quarter, but briefly threatened to reel in the box, where they succeeded as NBA champions in June as they closed to within 6. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to the rest of the news. I am Richard Badung.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Centers and Prevention has said it has transitioned from weekly case announcements for COVID-19 to bi-weekly situation reports for COVID-19. The NCDC disclosed this in its public health advisory on the relaxation of COVID-19